I knew which drawer stuck in winter. I knew he took his coffee with exactly 1 spoon of sugar. I knew the sound of his breathing when he was stressed. I thought I knew everything about my husband. Then I found a phone I had never seen, a name I had never heard, and a marriage certificate that proved I had known nothing at all. His name was on 2 certificates. Mine. And hers. Same man. Same signature. Same lies. My name is Claire. I am 28 years old. And this is the story of how I buried him with the truth he thought I would never find. Daniel and I met in New York 4 years ago. A Tuesday evening at a coffee shop on West 72nd Street, where we both reached for the last cup sleeve at the same time. He was 32, a senior financial analyst at a midtown consulting firm. I was 24, 2 years into my career as a graphic designer at a branding agency in Chelsea. We talked for 2 hours. He walked me to the subway. He texted before I reached my stop. 14 months later he proposed on the rooftop of his apartment building on a cold November night, with the city spread out below us, and a ring that had belonged to his grandmother. I said yes before he finished the sentence. We married the following spring in Brooklyn. 40 guests. White tulips. A sky so clear it felt impossible. Our apartment was on the Upper West Side. Hardwood floors. A kitchen window that faced east so the morning light came in early. I arranged the bookshelves myself. I knew which drawer stuck in winter. I knew he took his coffee with exactly 1 spoon of sugar. I knew his mother's birthday, his college roommate's name, the way he exhaled when he was tired. I knew everything. Or I believed I did. And that belief, that complete, unquestioned certainty, was exactly what he was counting on. The first sign came on a Wednesday evening in March. Daniel was working late. Which happened often. Which I had never questioned. I was finishing a client project at my desk when his jacket hanging on the chair beside me began to vibrate. Not his work phone. Not his personal phone. A third phone. Small. Black. A device I had never seen before, tucked into his inside pocket. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. I looked at it. I did not touch it. I told myself there was a reasonable explanation. I closed my laptop and went to bed. But I did not sleep. 3 weeks later I ran into his colleague Marcus at a coffee shop 2 blocks from our apartment on a Saturday morning. Marcus looked surprised to see me, not happily surprised. The specific surprise of someone who has said the wrong thing before, and is now calculating how close they are to saying it again. We spoke for 4 minutes. Before he left he said, "You two should come to dinner sometime. Both of you." I smiled. I said of course. On the walk home I turned that phrase over very slowly in my mind. Both of you. Marcus knew Daniel and I were married. There was no reason to say both of you unless the word both carried a meaning I had not yet been given. I said nothing to Daniel that evening. I made dinner. I watched him eat. I watched his hands, his eyes, the particular ease of a man who does not believe he is being watched. And I made a quiet decision. Not in anger. In the same deliberate way I approach every design problem: gather every piece of information before you draw a single line. For days after I had seen the third phone, I found it again. Same jacket. Same pocket. Daniel was in the shower. I had 4 minutes. The phone was not locked. The most recent contact was listed only as home. The last message, sent the previous evening, read, "Putting Lily to bed. She asked for you. Call when you can. Lily." I placed the phone back exactly where I found it. I walked to the kitchen. I turned on the faucet and stood with my hands flat on the counter, and the water running cold over my fingers. I stood there for 2 full minutes. Then I turned the water off. I went back to my desk. And I started working. I am a graphic designer. My entire career is built on research, pattern recognition, and finding information in places other people do not think to look. Over the following 4 evenings while Daniel watched television in the next room, while we ate dinner together, while he kissed me goodnight, and I kissed him back, I built a complete picture from publicly available information. Her name was Megan. She lived in Astoria, Queens. She had a daughter named Lily who was 2 years old. Her social media profile was partially public. In her profile photograph, she was standing outside a midtown restaurant where Daniel had told me he had a client dinner 8 months ago. She was not tagged. But Daniel was standing beside her. And on her left hand was a ring. I found their marriage certificate through the New York City Public Records database. Daniel Aaron Cole and Megan Patricia Shaw. Married 18 months ago. Exactly 9 months before our second anniversary dinner on the 43rd floor, where he had told me I was the only woman who had ever truly known him. I sat with that document on my screen, and did not move for a long time. The apartment was quiet. The city outside the window was doing what it always does, moving, continuous, indifferent. I did not cry. Not yet. I went to the bathroom, closed the door, sat on the edge of the tub, and allowed myself exactly 10 minutes. 10 minutes to feel everything: the 4 years, the rooftop proposal, the Brooklyn wedding, the white tulips, the ring that had belonged to his grandmother. 10 minutes for all of it. Then I stood up. I washed my face with cold water. I looked at myself in the mirror for a long moment. And I walked back out. I printed the marriage certificate. I placed it in a folder. I called my sister Rachel in the morning. Rachel lives in Brooklyn. She has been a family law attorney for 6 years. She listened to everything without interrupting. When I finished, she was silent for 3 seconds. Then she said, "Claire, what you have just described is bigamy. That is a criminal offense under New York state law." She told me to bring everything I had. She told me not to confront Daniel yet. She said, "Let me make 2 calls first." Rachel contacted Patricia Owens, a colleague who specialized in exactly this kind of case. Patricia reviewed the marriage certificate, my documentation of the phone records, and the photographs within 48 hours. She confirmed it without hesitation. Under New York Penal Law Section 255.15, Daniel's marriage to Megan had been contracted while his legal marriage to me was fully intact. The second marriage was void. My marriage was protected. And Daniel had committed a criminal offense. Patricia filed the initial legal paperwork on a Thursday morning. A process server delivered documents to Daniel's office the following Monday at 9:47 a.m. I know the exact time because Patricia texted me the moment it was done. I was at my desk in Chelsea when my phone rang. Daniel's name on the screen. I let it ring. It rang twice more over the next hour. I did not answer. That evening I heard his key in the door, and I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea, and the printed marriage certificate placed flat on the table in front of the empty chair across from me. The kitchen light was on. The rest of the apartment was dark. He walked in. He saw me. He saw the document. He stopped in the doorway with his coat still on and his keys still in his hand. His face moved through several things very quickly, none of which I had seen on it before. He said my name. I said nothing. He walked slowly to the chair across from me and sat down. He looked at the paper. He looked at me. He said, "Claire, I can explain this." I said, "I know exactly what it is, Daniel. I found the certificate 4 days ago. I have spoken to an attorney. Papers were filed this morning at your office." He said, "Please. Just listen to me." I said, "Lily asked for you." That is what the message said. She asked for you. I stood up. I picked up my tea. I looked at him one final time. This man I had chosen, this man whose grandmother's ring I had worn for 3 years, this man who had kissed me goodnight while another woman put his daughter to bed. I said, my attorney's name is Patricia Owens. All further communication goes through her. I walked to the bedroom. I closed the door. I sat on the edge of the bed in the dark and listened. After 11 minutes I heard the front door open. And then close. And then nothing. The divorce was finalized 5 months later. Under New York law, bigamy nullified Daniel's claims to the marital assets. The Upper West Side apartment was awarded to me. His financial assets were divided. Patricia was precise and thorough and did not concede a single point. Daniel lost his position at the consulting firm within 2 weeks. The firm had a conduct clause, and they enforced it without hesitation. Megan filed for annulment within 30 days of being notified. I do not know what became of either of them after that. I do not need to know. Rachel came over the night the divorce was finalized. We ordered Thai food and sat on the kitchen floor and talked until past midnight. She said, "You handled this better than anyone I have ever seen." I told her I didn't feel like I had handled it. I felt like I had simply refused to disappear. I am 28 years old. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment on the Upper West Side where the morning light still comes in early through the kitchen window. I still arrange my bookshelves myself. I still know which drawer sticks in winter. What I lost was a version of my life I had built on top of a lie I was never meant to discover. What I gained was something I did not expect: the absolute, unshakable knowledge of what I am made of when I am the only person in the room I can trust. Some people build their secrets on the assumption that your love will make you careless. That your trust will make you blind. That your belief in them will protect them from you. They are wrong about that. I looked. I found everything. And I built something better from what was left. That is who I am now. That is who I was all along.